Now, duality versus non-duality. So when I speak about non-duality, or when I do these talks, I talk about two different things, which most people think are the two same things, but they're actually two different things. I talk about non-duality, which is the reminding of who you are, which is love, freedom, wholeness. And then I talk about the personal self, and I look at the dynamics of the personal self and the seeking patterns of the personal self. And most people think that the personal self, you work on the personal self and you work on the dynamics of the personal self, and then you release like the issues, the karma, the tendencies of that personal self, and then that person becomes enlightened. But that personal self becomes enlightened. That's not the way of it. Sanippa. It is not the way. The personal self doesn't become enlightened. The more that you explore ideas and concepts, the more that you see there isn't actually a solid entity that resides inside the body. So there isn't someone that wakes up, there isn't somebody that makes it. And it's not about becoming a perfect person. The reason that I look at the personal tendencies is sometimes the seeking energy can become so intense that it elongates into time, and it makes the suffering a lot worse. And so I try to focus on relaxing that. And then there can be an exploration of something else when there's a relaxing of that. So what does non-duality versus duality mean? I think there's a really sweet way that I could describe this. And that is a way that Ramesh Balsekar explained it when I used to go and visit his talks. At least I think it was him. But from what I can remember, it was him that explained me this. He explained to me, or to the group, about the idea of the cross, so Jesus' cross. And he said that the horizontal line represented time. So the line like this represents time and the person and past and future and the story of you, where you've been, where you're going to, the story of others. It's like this horizontal line in time. And then the other line is the vertical line, which is the line of truth, the line of non-duality. So this one is the non-duality and this one is the duality. And in the middle they meet. And when Jesus was hammered onto the cross, his heart met in the middle. So his heart was where the two crosses went across. So he's on the cross like that, and it goes, the cross is where his heart is. So the vertical line is non-duality, and the vertical line is only here. That's what he means by the vertical line, like it doesn't go into time. Non-duality isn't a time-bound dynamic. Non-duality is here, it's present. It never moves in time, it's still, and time moves in it. Maybe I'm being too complicated, so let me go back. So what we think is we think that we've arrived in this moment. So humans think, I arrived here, I came from the past and I arrived in the present moment. But you've always been in the present moment. You've never arrived in the present moment. You've always been here. You never came from the past and finally made it. Like you've never experienced anything called past. You've always experienced present moment, present moment, present moment, present moment, and it's not changing. What changes in the present moment is the scenery, the thoughts, the feelings, the ideas, the smells, the sounds, the touch. But the present moment doesn't change. Presence doesn't change. It's always here. It's never moved. So Ramesh Balsekar used to call that the vertical line of what is. That this is who you truly are, what's always been, which makes sense. Because if you think about it, what is, this moment is what you've always been. You've never been something that arrived from the past. You've never been something that's going into the future. That's always been your imagination. It's never been the reality of the situation. It's been an imagining. So who you are, who you truly are, is this horizontal line of presence. And that's the essence. It's the birthright. Let me just turn this light down. I'm beginning to glow. So that's who you've always been. Is presence. It was your birthright. You didn't ever have to switch on presence, be like, hang on, let me just turn this moment on. I know you most probably think that you wake up in the morning and it's your activity, but you've never done anything to be present. It's happening. The reason why you think you're not present is because you're imagining yourself in time, and you're imagining that you're thinking and you're not actually here, you're lost in thought. But that's a different subject. You've always been here, even if you're lost in thought. It's always been this moment. It's never been past. It's never been future. It's always here. Future and past are always imagination. Ramesh used to say that is the vertical. It doesn't move, it's right here, full stop. Boom. And then he would say the horizontal line is your imagining. It's your timeline, it's the apparent story. So the horizontal line is the imagining, so it's the apparent duality. So the vertical is non-duality and the horizontal is apparent duality, but it never really exists, duality, but it appears to exist. So it appears, and we're meant to be able to speak like this. We're not meant to just say, oh, it's all illusion, it doesn't matter. We appear as if there's been time. To Khaleesi, there is no time. She has some form imaging of time, of memories, but most of the time she hasn't got the complicated thinking to be able to think about it. So she's just here. She's like, this is all there is, but she doesn't even know this is all there is because she can't compare it to what's not. So she's just like, here I am, here I am. Whereas we can imagine where our bodies have been and come from. So we can imagine that earlier we were sitting doing some work in the office, and then we moved the body here and we're sitting here. And we can imagine our childhood and complicated things that have happened in our life, complicated dynamics with family members, complicated stories. We can hold it all in what we think is our brain, but we're not sure where we hold memories. Scientists can't even find where memories are. They suspect it's all over the body. But we have that, and our memory is amazing. Like, we can just smell something and then all this images and ideas and creativity can come. Our thinking is incredible. Then we can imagine future. So you can imagine, okay, after this talk, I'm going to most probably go for a walk with Khaleesi around the block, and I will look at the moon, and the moon is very big. As last night it was very big, but tonight it will be a little bit smaller because it's not full moon tonight. Then I will have my dinner, which is pizza, because last night I had pizza with friends, and then they gave me some pizza, some leftover, and I have it in my fridge, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I might have a sausage with it as well. Vegetarian, of course. I don't want to promote the eating of poor, beautiful animals, or rich, beautiful animals, whichever way you look at it. Tomorrow I will go to the bank and go to get my VAT done on my car, as I'm importing my car into France. And the guy at the tax office said that to me, and I understood it in French when he told me, even though I might have missed some bits, but I understood as he explained my taxes to me and how to import my car. I was very impressed with myself. I couldn't respond much though, because I still can't speak very good French. But I can comprendre. I just learned today that there's comprendre and then there's comprendre. Oh well. Speaking is another thing. And I can imagine all types of things. I can imagine that I was in England. I can imagine the things that I'm going to do this year, and we can talk about it. And we can have like these complex societies and complex communications and relationships and share ideas and dreams and images and what we're going to do and all these different types of things. And all of it creates emotion. Just our imagining of a positive event creates all these beautiful emotions in the body. That is apparent duality, but it's only apparent, it's not fact. The birds aren't like tweet, 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 tweet. Tomorrow I'm going to the sauna. When I go to the sauna, we don't wear any clothes when we're in Germany or France, but when we go to England, we have to wear clothes. They're just like tweet, 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 tweet. And all there is tweeting because they haven't got a big enough brain to be able to imagine anything else than what's actually happening. So they're so close to God. They're really intimate and in love with God. They are just God. And they're just singing for no reason. They haven't got like, oh, well, I'm singing because one day I'm practicing to be, top singer at a cathedral in Rome. They're just singing for the love of it, for no reason, because it's happening. Whereas we can think about all these things, and then, sadly, tragically, we get lost in what we think. We get lost in this horizontal, and we believe that that horizontal timeline is all there is. And we become more and more unhappy because we become a limitation where our essence, the vertical line, is limitless, it's boundless, it's wonder, it's potential creativity. But we become lost in this idea of ourselves, and we more and more try to get out of it. But the more we try to get out of it, the more we limit ourselves, and then we get into something called suffering. And then the first noble truth that the Buddha taught has to be realized, that life is suffering when there's identification, because you identified with something that's not true. You identified with this fiction that humans make up in order to have relationships and communicate and create a complex society and do really complicated things, but it's not reality. But people believe that their waking dream, that their imagination is absolute reality, and it's not. It is not. Reality is here. It is the vertical line. I always get confused between the vertical line and the horizontal. It's dyslexia. It's just part of having a dyslexic brain. I'm not in any way saying it's bad, it's beautiful. My mind is so imaginative, but it gets things confused. I still can't tell left and right. The way that I can tell left and right is so weird. I don't understand how people know what left and right is. But the way that I know it is this. Left. Most people think that's a sign for loser, but it's actually the sign for left. We go left. L. You see? L. Left. That's how I know. L. That's an L to me if you look at it. Oh, it's all back to front on the camera. But that is an L. That means left. That doesn't work that way. That's the wrong L, the wrong way round. That's the L. So that's how I know left. But being part of a dyslexic mind, it does funky things to you, and you can't always get things right. But it always creates a lot of laughter for other people. So vertical and horizontal is not natural for me to know, no matter how much I try to train myself. But people give me these like imaginative, creative ideas of ways to remember things. And my friend taught me the way to remember horizontal is whore lying down. Now I know that's most probably really sexist and un-PC, but it was whore lying down and it worked. That image worked. Horizontal is whore lying down. It was a male friend. I apologize to any feminists out there listening. Normally I'm on the side of feminism, but you know, sometimes with these images and these ideas, you have to take what's on offer, and that is what works for me. Whore lying down. Vertical and whore lying down. I now feel a little sad for feminists. Oh well. Okay. So that's non-duality versus duality. Duality is something we made up. It's a human thing. And the way that we made it up is through opposites. So the dog doesn't have opposites. Hey. Can you see her? Can you see the ears? Hey. Hello, hey. Now I know a lot of people have written to me and complained and asked me to stop doing this. I would be more popular if I stopped singing to the dog, but there she is. Anyway, Khaleesi hasn't got the imagination to think in words. She doesn't know right from wrong. She doesn't know that it's wrong to eat chicken, so she eats chicken. She doesn't know that her skin is black and that there is white, that there is up or down or tall or short or big or small or fat or thin. She doesn't know any of that. All that she knows is what is, and she has some vague images about some things. But I think it's mostly smell. I don't think she really imagines it. I think there's a smelling thing going on. Hello, my beautiful girl. Aren't you so beautiful? Yes, you are. She's so beautiful. So, what was I going to say? So Khaleesi doesn't think that she is a good dog or bad dog, or that she came from the past and's going to the future. She has no ability to think like that. The same with the bird, the same with the bees, the same with the trees or the sky. It doesn't think in all these words. We know tree because it's not grass. We know tree because it's not a flower. We know dog because it's not a cat. Our words work on duality, on opposites. Non-duality means no to, not to. So we made up, it's our brains, and if we thought in a different way, then we wouldn't think in duality, maybe we'd think in triality. I don't know what that is, I just made it up, but I'm trying to think of a triality. Quaterality. We're thinking in a quaterality. And if we got other senses, we would think and evolve in different ways. It's really hard for us to imagine because we've only got the imagining of opposites. Let me just switch the light on. It's a little dark in here. Pardon. Making you maybe feel a bit sick as I walk around, looking for my lights. I have a complex lighting system here. Lots of lights. Oh, fuck. Oops, sorry, guys. You see, if I'm doing a live talk, this doesn't happen because I stay still. I just sit there and talk to people and face them. But if I'm here by myself, I do all these distracted things. So the reason to come to a live talk is because I sit still for 2 hours and I just talk. If you don't believe me, you can watch the videos from Goa that I posted last week. I sit there the whole 2 hours, and sometimes longer. Whereas when I'm by myself, I get creative. Okay, well, that's the difference between duality and non-duality. I hope that's clear for everybody, but if it isn't, then you can now ask me questions on Skype. My Skype address is Lisa Cairns 12. And just sign up for Skype and you can send me a message now.